Now to our other focus this evening on what the DeepSeek impact on the US tech giants means for the Gen AI race globally, and specifically what are the big takeaways for India. Remember, multiple questions arise from what even the US president has declared a wake-up call. Two really fascinating voices with us this evening on what this means to India and the Gen AI race. Balachandar Karthikeyan, CEO of Bringer Apps LLC from the US, and Naganand Doreswamy of Idea Spring Capital, who has invested and follows the deep tech space very closely. Thanks to the both of you for joining us. But before I get to you, NDTV's Arjun Mahendran explains the issue to set up the discussion this evening.
And when a game-changing AI developed in China's Hangzhou is shaking up global tech landscape, it is called DeepSeek. Founded in 2023 by seasoned entrepreneur and engineer Liang Wenfang, the company has unleashed the DeepSeek V3 model. Well, it's an advanced open-source AI designed to mimic human thinking, setting it apart from other AI systems. Now, what's jaw-dropping is that this cutting technology model was developed for less than $6 million. It's less than a fraction of what competitors have been using. Not only this, the system also operates in a fraction of what similar models in the US would cost in today's date. However, its biggest appeal is the open source approach, which allows developers to build on DeepSeek's technology. And not so surprisingly, DeepSeek's sudden rise has sent shockwaves through the US markets. DeepSeek's competitors, NVIDIA, OpenAI, Microsoft, and Alphabet are all feeling the heat. In fact, NVIDIA, who's the leader in AI-driven semiconductor, has been hit the hardest, but other big names, mind you, are not far behind. OpenAI, known for its ChatGPT models, and tech behemoths like Microsoft and Alphabet are all facing pressure of being outpaced by a low-cost Chinese AI model that's making literally wave around the US market. Now, there are also growing concerns over user data and privacy concerns, especially with the company's origin being in China. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has already weighed in, calling the release of DeepSeek, quote-unquote, a wake-up call for US industries to refocus on winning the AI race.
Well, multiple issues being raised there by my colleague Arjun. Balachandra Karthikeyan, first to you. Explain the impact of this on the tech world, both in terms of what's been perceived as a decisive edge that the US had in terms of Gen AI. Does this puncture that perception, A? And B, what does this mean for countries like India, which also wants to enter the Gen AI race?
Well, thanks for having me. DeepSeek has indeed shaken up the AI industry, today wiping out nearly $1 trillion from the US stock market. Why? Because DeepSeek proves you don't need $1 trillion budget to create something revolutionary. I think it's a wake-up call for the tech industry. AI models like ChatGPT, it's all powerful. They require a huge investment in technology and hardware. But DeepSeek was able to build its model at a cost of less than $6 million compared to the billions of dollars the US companies have invested in building AI. So it's not just powerful, it's also more affordable. I think that's why all the business and developers are, going towards the DeepSeek, and that's why I think it's gaining more popularity. So my company, Bringer, of course, we have our users are sending out 300 million messages every month, and we have been testing this DeepSeek to handle this load, and the results are amazing because, it's cost-effective, reliable, and performs just as well as other AI models. So for us, the tech company switching to DeepSeek, it makes really perfect sense. So now coming back to your second question, so really this makes me wonder why hasn't a country like India with so much talent and booming tech sector create something like a DeepSeek or TikTok? It's a tough question, maybe it's just because we are more focused on service rather than creating our own products, or maybe we need to take more risks and invest more in research and development, and whatever the reason, I think these DeepSeek success should inspire us to think, on bigger and haywire.
Right, interesting that you say that. Naganand Doreswamy, I want to focus on the first point that Balachandar made, which is about sending the cost explanation for developing Gen AI out of the window in some sense. What does that really mean for India, A? And B, does this also reflect the reality for tech companies, given that you invest in several of them in the deep tech space, that technology can be a disruptor even for the ones who are trying to disrupt the process?
Yeah, so we have discussed this before, that AI is moving at a furious pace, right? I mean, a lot of things are happening, and you sleep with some news, and when you get up, the news is different. So, I mean, I think what has been happening over the past year has been just incredible in terms of the progress and in terms of the rate of change. I think what I was reading a lot of stuff about DeepSeek, and one of the things they said was they were resource constrained, and they forced them to think otherwise, like not what the normal foundation models were doing. And hence they were able to bring the training cost down from 100 million, approximately what was for ChatGPT-4, to 6 million, like Balchandra also said. Not only that, the inferencing cost, which is the running cost, is also a lot lesser, about 1/25th or 1/30th of what OpenAI would charge. That's what these guys are charging. So I think it's a innovation that has happened, driven by necessity because of the resource scarce resources. And that's what I think typically we face in India, right? If you look at our innovation, I don't like to use the term jugaad, but we do frugal innovation, and that has led to this. And I'm hoping that we have 3 foundation models companies in India: Sarvam, Kutium, and Reliance. What Reliance is working on, and I'm hoping this will be very encouraging for these companies as well, because one of the questions was the prohibitive cost of training and the prohibitive cost of running. So I think this is a great news for the Indian ecosystem as well, and I'm hoping that we will get to work on a lot more models for our own languages, not only for 27 different languages in India, but also look at serving the world with our own models. So I think very, very interesting times for us as well.
Very interesting times, you say, Naganand. You also observe the US very closely in terms of the tech space. Given that you could have a bird's eye view by staying away and being here in Bengaluru, how do you see the impact of this playing out? Do you see the impact of DeepSeek being a temporary aberration for the US? Or do you believe that it could eventually have a long-term impact? Because some of the companies' stock rocketed after the ChatGPT was announced, and they have now plummeted with this announcement. Do you see this more as a temporary up and down, or something that will be more lasting in terms of impact?
No, I think the cost will come down. It's one of those cases where the disruptor is getting disrupted, right? So the key thing that's coming out of this is the US, everybody thought US had a great edge, and they were way ahead in the AI market. Now, this is kind of democratized or level that thought process. So I think China, by what they have done now, is proving that they are fairly close. And the fact that they are able to do it with not the Blackwell chips, but the one lower generation of NVIDIA chips is another move that is why NVIDIA stocks got hammered yesterday. They lost 17% or $600 billion in market cap, which is like mind-boggling. But I think whenever something is hyped up so much, or there's so much hype, you will look for disruption. So I'm not surprised that there is a serious disruption happening here, and I expect a lot more improvements to happen, because there's a lot of talk that's happening. And the key thing, Veera, that one needs to recognize is what these guys are doing is reasoning, right? Not ChatGPT. But you look at the GPT-4o, the reasoning was not there. But when you look at GPT-o1 and o3, reasoning was there. And these guys are putting reasoning in. And reasoning is what will get enterprises to start using AI, because agentic AI will become more prevalent. So I think we are in for some key changes, and how it will disrupt the market, how it will affect the enterprises. Time will tell. And that's why I'm saying interesting times.
Right. Balachandar, how would you see this whole thing playing out? Long-term, short-term, or just an immediate disruption?
Well, I think this is, as I said before, it's really shaken up the industry. I would say this is a long term, because also let's not forget one thing. This DeepSeek is a highly censored. When I asked the question about China and its leader, it didn't provide me any of the answers. So some users on X are complaining that it can't be trusted with their data. But just remember, DeepSeek is open source, right? I mean, which means anyone can download the entire model and host it and integrate it into their system and use it according to the laws of their country. So I think we have to wait and watch the situation here.
Right, we have to wait and watch the situation. In one line, I'm coming to the end of the show. In one line, if you were to say what's the learning for the tech industry from this, how would you sum this up at the moment, having seen what has happened over the last 48 hours?
So DeepSeek success should inspire us to think bigger and aim higher. It's indeed a game changer because it's powerful, affordable, and accessible. It's pushing the boundaries of what AI can do to inspire the world to think differently about the technology. So for sure, I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
Nag,
I would say don't rest on your laurels.
you have some good one-liners.
Yeah, that's it. Don't rest on the laurels.
We'll take. Oh, all right. It's like in journalism, we say you're only as good as the last story you broke. The next story is more important than the one that you broke last. But thanks very much there, Nag, as well as Balachandar, for joining us on what's fascinating times in the world of Gen AI and technology. But that's all we have time for on the Southern View. We'll keep our focus on all these issues closely. News and updates continue right here on NDTV. Thanks for watching.